History remembers their axes. We see them in our movies as giants in fur, leaping from dragon-headed ships to conquer the world. We call them Vikings. But that word was a job title, not an identity. For 90% of the Norse people, life wasn't a raid, it was a war. Not against kings, but against the very earth they stood on. Meet Bjorn. He is 32 years old, but his body feels 60. Today, the sun is a pale ghost in the northern sky. If Bjorn fails to complete his task today, his family will not see the spring. This is the reality of the Viking Age, not a saga of glory, but a silent, grueling epic of endurance. The day begins in the dark. In the 9th century, there are no rooms. Bjorn wakes in a longhouse, a tunnel of timber and sod. The air is thick, a heavy soup of wood smoke, old sweat, and the pungent warmth of livestock. In the winter, the animals are moved inside. It sounds repulsive to us, but to Bjorn, the smell of manure is the smell of safety. The cows are living heaters. Their body heat is the only thing keeping his children from freezing in their sleep. Bjorn's first move is to check the hearth. If the fire dies, the house dies. There are no matches. Starting a fire from scratch in a damp Norwegian autumn is a feat of engineering. He adds a few precious pieces of peat. He isn't thinking about Valhalla. He's thinking about the calorie count of his last piece of dried fish. This is Bjorn's most prized possession, not a sword, but an ard, a scratch plough. In the Viking Age, iron was more than metal. It was life. To forge this tip, a smith had to labor over bog iron for days. It cost Bjorn the equivalent of a year's profit. Scandinavian soil is a nightmare. It is thin, acidic, and littered with stones left behind by glaciers. Every meter he ploughs is a physical battle. If the iron tip hits a hidden rock and snaps, his season is over. There is no store to buy another. Why did the Vikings raid? Historians argue about many things, but land hunger is at the top. The population was growing, but the good land was vanishing. People like Bjorn weren't looking for gold to buy crowns. They were looking for better dirt, so their children wouldn't have to eat bark bread. While Bjorn battles the soil, his wife Astrid leads the family's defense on another front. Her weapon is the quernstone. To make enough bread for a family of 6, Astrid must grind grain by hand for hours every single day. Archaeologists have found that the skeletons of Norse women often show severe osteoarthritis in the shoulders and spine. This wasn't housework, it was industrial labor. Food preservation was the ultimate technology. They didn't have salt. It was too expensive to produce in the north. Instead, they used sour whey to pickle meat and fish. They made skyr, a fermented dairy product that could stay edible for months. Everything had to be calculated. If Astrid uses too much flour in October, they will be eating boiled leather in March. By afternoon, the farm has taken all it can. Now, Bjorn turns to the sea. But he isn't sailing a great ship to Lindisfarne. He's in a small rowing boat, alone. The water in the fjords is barely above freezing. One wrong move, one slippery deck, and he is gone. In the 9th century, almost no one knew how to swim. If you fell into that water, the weight of your wool clothing would pull you down in seconds. This is his silver. He will gut these fish, salt them if he's lucky, or hang them to dry until they are as hard as wood. These stockfish are the protein bars of the Viking Age. Without them, the expansion of the Norse people would have been impossible. There is a final pressure that weighs more than the hunger, the social law. Bjorn is not just a farmer. He is a free man. That means he has a word. In a world without police, your reputation, your drengskaper, is your only insurance policy. If Bjorn's farm fails, he loses his status. If he cannot pay his debts, he could become a thrall, a slave. The line between a free man and a piece of property was dangerously thin. He must be productive, he must be generous to his neighbors, and he must be ready to defend his land at a moment's notice. We are obsessed with the Vikings because of their strength. No, we often look at the wrong kind of strength. It wasn't the strength to kill that made them extraordinary. It was the strength to remain. Bjorn will sleep for 5 hours. Tomorrow, he will do it all again. He will fight the rocks, the cold, and the hunger. He will never be mentioned in a saga. No skald will sing his name, but he is the reason the Viking Age happened. He is the foundation upon which the empires of the north were built. The next time you see a Viking warrior on screen, remember the mud under his fingernails. Remember that before they were conquerors, they were survivors.